about 6-7 years ago, where after we have kind of bulked up in terms of the size of the company. We were sort of a mid-size stockbroker, and we were sitting around the room, planning our to put together our long-term plan. So the internet sort of online stockbroking wasn't so popular. In the past 6-7 years ago, people are still calling their remisiers to place an order, and people are still not trusting doing that online. So, but we saw in the developed countries like the US and Japan that is the trend. And if you look at what happened in the US, the traditional players are not really the ones making the strides in the online space. So the online players are very different from the traditional players. And in Malaysia and Southeast Asia, it's the same thing. A lot of the traditional players wanted to do online, but it's the same management, same mindset. Hence, probably that's the reason why, it never quite take off. So we were so-called future-proofing, try to future-proof our strategy, make sure that, in the next 10-20 years, we can not only survive, but be at the forefront. So we took a very hard stand to say that, we will look into the digital space where nobody really was talking about it. Then there were questions on cannibalization. Is it going to? Because by then we were the largest stockbroker in terms of the agency business, as we know it in Malaysia, the remisiers. After taking over ECM Libra, we had close to 1,000 remisiers, which is roughly about 20% of all the remisiers in the market. So is that going to eat into our agency business? We had that discussion, and the decision was that no, it didn't, because the people are still calling up the remisiers, placing the orders, but after taking the orders, they go to the website and go online to take advantage of the online rates. So it's not a true online business. So we decided that, looking at our figures, we believe it was only about 9% online back then. So we decided to go ahead with it. And because of the fact that, we do not want the current mindset, the mindset then of the management. So we went ahead to look for a partner, to really sort of wanting to do this in the true sense of a digital business. So that's how it all started, thinking about the future. We believe that is the future, because the millennials that are currently today, they will become the high net worths of the future. So we want to prepare ourselves for the future. When I talk about doing it truly digital, the whole experience has to be digital. So from the start of onboarding, which is very the start of a relationship with your client, that has to be digital. And even today, you can see a lot of financial institutions requiring clients to come to the office to sign 1 or 2 pieces of paper. So we decided that that's not online. So from the eKYC at the beginning to the full onboarding process, which requires us to understand the background, the demographics, the credit background. So the whole entire process, we kind of put together, all our thoughts and come up with the online, true online experience. Working, of course, with the Securities Commission. Even back then, 2017 when we launched, you can sign up as a client online, and you can trade almost the following day. Now, of course, we've done everything in 10 minutes. So back then, it was quite a big achievement, to sign up online, do all your eKYC, and be ready to trade. You get your trading limits and etc. etc. So that was very impactful, as you know, during the lockdown in Malaysia. I think for us, it's very much working together with the regulators rather than, we go ahead and do something and then the regulators to follow up. I believe it has always been a collaborative effort. It's a licensed entity, and it's always a lot of discussions with the regulators and coming out with regulation that we believe will be good for the consumer. So to us, the fact that the SC is able to come up with rules to have licensed crypto exchange, that says something about the fact that the regulators are also very forward-looking. So we are fortunate in a way that we are able to have people like that, and we can collaborate with them on newer things. So.
Datuk, if I can just add, where we took a stance also, where we didn't let the regulations become the boundaries of what we can do. And we were very lucky in the sense that the authorities and the regulators was very receptive to new ideas, to new propositions to be brought into the market. So that's the part where we spoke about there was a collaborative effort with the authorities, with the regulators, and new guidelines was drafted so that a new value proposition can be brought to the market in various products and services that we did along the way. So it was quite easy to say that, the rules can't allow you to do that, but we didn't let that become the hurdle for us.
Definitely there are challenges, especially when you're a public company. So we have taken on what I always tell people, a very difficult task. So to me, there are two main sort of strategic direction of companies. One is to be highly profitable, pay a lot of dividends, especially when you're in mature industry. I would say stockbroking probably, can be considered a mature industry. And then the other one is grow. Forget about profitability. We will be profitable, sometime down the road. You promise the investors and your shareholders. So we have taken a very difficult road, which is we want to do both. I don't believe a lot of companies have done that. If you look at our financial results, subject to the market conditions, we have been performing rather well. We are very fortunate that we're able to achieve that in a way. The challenge is to put out a very convincing story to the board that yes, we need to pay dividends, but let us also be relevant the long term. Long term, where you're going to be if you squeeze out profit every year. So we're able to make the case. Obviously, most of our digital businesses are startups. So you don't make money the next year. You are lucky to make money year 3. So I think Rakuten had a very good head start, and because we are the only one who did fully online, so we have a lot of the market. We were able to make profits year 3, year 4, and so that's difficult, to convince our shareholders. It's also difficult to convince the staff because more investment, less profit means less bonus. So we had a fairly difficult few years in the beginning where the profitability was affected, but we never make any losses. So we had to really grind through the early years, and now we are benefiting from that. So we do have a long-term plan. I think we believe that long-term, our future is more or less assured in terms of where the digital direction is going as far as the industry is concerned, and we are moving on.
Talent is an incredibly important part in any type of digital transformation. And actually, I think Datuk and Kok Khee said something really important, is that we have digital businesses, plural. It doesn't mean when you do these digital businesses that you take your old business, throw it away and start over. It means it's an and, you add it onto your business and you can focus it that way. And so as we look at Rocket on Trade, as you look at Tokenize, or as you look even our digital advisor, KDI, each of those are microcosms almost. They're much smaller businesses where you can put entrepreneurial talent in place to run and just push it as far as you can with all the backing of Kenanga to support you in the end, but giving them that runway and that capacity to make those changes as they need to do it. And doing that, I think, is really important. It does help with your investment as well because, as you say, it's more of a contained investment. You know what you're putting into it. Helps you with your shareholders, helps you with your communication to the outside world. But coming back to around how you bring that talent in, it's a very tough one because finding the right talent who has that entrepreneurial mindset is tough in the first place. And convincing them to come into an existing organization. Many of them, they're looking for those new fintech startups, there's everything brand new, working from a garage style. So you have to meet them halfway. You have to give them a different way of working. You have to appeal to their sense of purpose and direction. And as you bring those into the story, as you give them that shape, the responsibility to shape their business and their future, along with that path forward with a purpose at the very end, that gives you a great building point.
There are two things. One is our digital business and one is the digitalization of our existing business. So talking about the digitalization of our existing business, I think we are probably still the only one that has digitalized our agency business. What I mean by that is that gone are the days where you need a lot of people, especially the operation people, to sort of manage your agency force, your remisers. So remisers will go there and do a lot of old school stuff like printing reports, like asking for what is the credit limit, what is the margin limit, when checks are due and things like that. So we find that is actually very bad use of resources. So we've gone to the digitalization phase whereby I think we call it K2, which is something we started I think 3, 4, 5 years ago, where now everything is on an iPad, on a notebook. So remisers can have all their customer information. What are the limits, whether it's trading limits, margin limits, where the client's position is, is it T1, T2? Everything is at his fingertips. So they don't need to call anybody. So they spend most of the time, which they should, doing marketing. So we have done that. That costs us, quite a bit of money, but we are able to close 13 branches.
Yeah.
Which is 1/3 of our branches without affecting business.
Yeah, at the peak of the market, we managed to do that.
Yeah.
And business was not affected because then we have actually empowered them. I think the other point, which is the people's point I like to make, is that the friction between the agency force and your support staff, right? When things are not digitalized and they make manual requests, a lot of things can slip between the crack and nobody knows what's going on. Right, to a place now that everything has an audit trail, it has a timestamp as to when things are supposed to be done. So people can draw a lot of comfort that things are taken care of, it'll be efficient. And because of that, that's the reason why we were able to close 1/3 of the branches, where business not affected, because we were able to give them mobility.
Yeah, and coming to your point about, management struggles to convince board and shareholders about going digital. If they can see cost savings, not only just cost savings, it helps the remisers manage their time better. Instead of chasing down for something, some hard copy of something, everything is there. So he can spend his time even relaxing, and marketing. So that's the digitalization part. On the digital side, we are able to bring, I always talk about the fact that why are we so hot about, having an online business for stockbroking, for example. I think the power is back with the individual. So right now, while you're queuing for your coffee, you have everything on your phone. You know, whether it's 10-year, you have charting, you have everything. And we have spent a lot of resources going to machine learning and AI to come with algorithm. So you have everything on your phone. Not only that, you know, now we can even get the retailers to listen to captains of industry. It was only available if you're a big fund manager. You get to hear the CEO of big company do presentation. We have turned everything to webinar. Why are they willing to do that webinar? Is because they are reaching out to the largest retail force in Malaysia. So they're prepared to do a webinar, and all our clients get to hear captains of industry talk. So that's all a game changer in terms of bringing the power back to the individual. They can make their own decision, and everything is digital. Having built either acquire or build digital businesses on our own, we believe we have the whole spectrum, from the wallet, which is a payment, all the way to crypto. And you know, we are also looking at tokenization, you know, the tokenization space. So we have all that, and the task is to put it together. Why are we putting it together? It's because, you know, from a business standpoint, we have a ready pool of digital customers that can move from products to products. The other reason is, of course, to give choice to the consumer. You know, depending on how risk averse you are, you can have from savings, which is the robo. We give the highest savings rate. Robo advisory, we have a product that's about savings, all the way to buying Bitcoin. You choose depending on what you like, you know, how risk averse you are. So that's not it. The other thing is that we hope we can move money around within the businesses, which is something that is not easy to do. We will even have a loyalty program on top of that. So if you buy shares, you can get loyalty points to maybe turn that into cash for use in your wallet. You can use that points to buy, you know, Ethereum, for example. So you can have all the synergy of putting it together. So that is where we will embark our growth. You know, Ian talked about it before. We have the verticals. Each of the vertical will also have its own growth path. Like Rakuten is going regional, you know. So, but putting together, we believe, you know, the synergy is very powerful. That's the future that we have envisaged.